Well, our coverage continues at the Himalayan Echoes Festival 2024. And joining us now is a very special name from Nepal, Rohini Rana, who of course is royal and also an author, is with us live. She's had a stimulating session here. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me for this session. And yes.
How was the response to your session today? Firstly, let's start out by talking about how today's gone for you.
I think it went well because I'm really thrilled to be here. You know, I'm the daughter of this town, and to come back in a different capacity as an author has really pleased me. And seeing so many familiar faces in the audience, and they're reacting to a different me. They knew me as a little child, and today I'm in a different, capacity. So it's great.
As I said, you come from Nepal, and it's amazing that, this festival here in Nainital is bridging the gap between the Himalayas. A Himalayan state of Nepal, country of Nepal. Today, of course, you're here representing that country in another Himalayan state of India. So how do you react to this, sort of bridging of mountain gaps that the festival is attempting to do as well?
Great question, because I feel that I have already done the bridging, the very fact that I've gone from Nainital to Nepal and lived there for so many years and keep coming back. So this is so beautiful that in this cultural capacity where they have so many literary figures, in different capacities coming here, speaking about all their different experiences, the authors. I think it's a great, great initiative. And I wish we could take this to Nepal as well. That would be a great idea.
Also, there was Bhutan represented as well today. So as I said, one second, I'll just cut that. थोड़ा सा बाहर ले जाएंगे, वो इंटरव्यू चल रहा है. Also, there was Bhutan represented today as well. So again, that's another, added mountain kingdom. Do you believe also that this can be a great bridge for relations as well between all the countries? Because there is so much of commonalities.
I think it could, because the whole Himalayan section has basic one culture that rules it all. And that beautiful, colorful dance that we saw performed, the singing by the little Bhutanese girl and her mentor there was fantastic. I think it takes you back to the Bhutanese culture. And then me from Nepal talking about the culinary traditions of Nepal and how similar they are to India and China. I think this is a great, great facet to, there's conduit to really good relations between all the Himalayan countries.
Also the fact that, you went from end to end, Nainital to Nepal. What similarities did you find there and what differences did you find when you, got married and went there?
Right. See, on a larger scale, it seems very familiar because the climate for one, is similar. It's nice and chilly and very, very temperate. Food also, because this is the rice eating area, the rice belt, so that is similar. But, when you dig under the surface, there are massive differences, which once you live there, then you feel them, So the cultural part, the rituals, the traditions, the language, even the food habits,
This, of course, is your second book now that you spoke about today. What inspired you to turn author?
I think it was my love and passion for cooking, and the very fact that I felt that most of the old recipes might die out if not documented started me off on my first book. And while researching and doing my first book, my husband being in the military, I've traveled all around Nepal and encountered the beautiful facets of different, socio-cultural, the festivities, the rituals. They're just so rich. So I thought, how could I leave the ethnic communities, the culinary cuisine, out of my culinary repertoire? So I thought of, researching on just the 10 main ethnic communities. And while doing the food, the costumes and the jewelry were again so exotic, I did document that also, just a little bit.
Are you quite a foodie as well?
If I wasn't a foodie, I wouldn't be writing culinary books. I love food. It is my passion. And my husband, being in the military, says the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, and the army marches on his stomach. So food is an integral part of our family.
Which for you is your favorite Nepalese, dish? I know it's tough to just pinpoint one, but off your mind right now.
Favorite Nepalese dish, is really famous with the Ranas is aloo tareko. So this is the Rana style fried potatoes with spices, and that is total comfort food. I think you could have it for lunch, tea, and dinner.
Did the response for your first book inspire you? I know the journey to turn author, as you said, you just told us about that. But, there is obviously that question in an author's mind, should I write more or not? But obviously you have decided to. So was the response for your first book your driving force, which has made you now write the second book as well?
The response was really good. My book was nominated for an International Gurman Award. And it's been ranked as one of the 10 best cookbooks in India as well. This great food critique and culinary connoisseur, Veer Sangvi, has told me in person that he did a blog for my book and said that it's there forever. It's one of the books that will stay. So while waiting for it to be published, unfortunately we had to wait for 10 months because COVID took over. So while waiting and that impatience, I thought, let me add the other 10 ethnic communities to my repertoire. So that's how I started writing and researching on the second book, and that's how it happened.
Well, for those finally now who are watching today, what are 3 things that are needed to be a good cook?
3 things is passion, passion, passion. I think if you have a fondness for food and a fondness to feed your family well, you can't go wrong.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Journalist Dinesh Thakur, Uday Pratap Singh in Nainital, NewsX.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.